If I go to our Google Classroom and I go to the second link, actually, let's go to the first link first. It's going to take you to your Academy homepage Google site. Now, this page has a few things on it. It's got some basic starting information for you. This video, as well as some tutorial information here. If you go to Explore the Academy, it'll take you to where that second link I mentioned is with our world map. Your progress tracker, so that you can see where you're at any time. So think of it as sort of the information hub. Your world map, which is the second link, think of it as sort of your activity hub. This is where you're going to go each day in class, generally because you need to complete something or you need to work on something each day, and your teachers will be tracking your progress. If you look here at the chart, you can kind of see a list of where you'll go. It says math students are going to click the Magician's Tower, which you'll find right here. Language arts students are going to click the Beastmaster Training Grounds, which are right here. Arts and humanities students are going to click the Bard's College, which you'll find here. Science students are going to click the Ranger's Tree Dwelling, which is up here. And social studies students are going to click the Knight's Keep, which is here in the middle of the city. There's a few other places that you can click and go to, but these are the main places that you'll go each day. Once you click one of those places, it'll take you to kind of like a hub page for you and what you're going to be studying. There's a whole lot of clickable icons on this page, and I guess by a whole lot more, just like 3. You're going to see sometimes little doors which will take you inside buildings where you can find certain things that you're going to work on. You'll find this little signpost here. It'll probably help us to actually just go look at an example. So let's say that I am a night student at the academy. I am going to go to the Knight's Keep most days because I want to get started on some of my work. We talked about the different types of activities. Training sessions are sort of like video notes. Quests are sort of more like longer term projects you're going to work on over several days. And monster hunts are sort of like progress checks. They're mastery checks, seeing if you know some of the information we've expected you to learn so far. Let's go ahead and just open up a page so you can see what navigation looks like. If you'd open up that page, you'll see here on the right, it doesn't list all of them just because of where my page is cut off, but you'll see training sessions that you can click. This is where you'll go to access video notes. It'll have everything you need within, including the video, which you'll take notes from. It'll tell you your reward or how many points you'll get for completing it, things like that. You'll also find some various things for flavor. You can click characters, and usually they'll have something to say. Sometimes it'll be related to things that you're working on, and sometimes it'll just be general flavor for the world that you're exploring. If we go back to the hub, we can find other things that we were going to work on too, including our Knight's quests and our monster hunts. Most things are clickable. They'll open up a link or the activity itself, and you'll be good to go. Now, looking back at training sessions, remember you need to complete 8 of these each quarter. Think of these kind of like notes videos over content that we're studying. They're designed just to be an introduction to a topic or skill. If you're a social studies student and you watch this video on national parks, you are not going to be an expert on national parks after you finish this one video, but it's going to give you a little bit of an introduction. A lot of this content ties in with things that we need you to know if you were participating in an academic team competition. But we've also specifically done things like looked at some of the curriculum that students in AP and even early college classes will do to learn about so that they can pass their class. We don't necessarily want you to be at that level yet, but we want to introduce you to some of that material. This is an accelerated class, meaning that the material is typically going to be something from a grade level above where you're studying. A lot of this material is stuff that you would look at more so in high school or even college, but it's more of just like an introductory foundational aspect or look at that. And that's where we're going to start with it. And then you're going to get a little bit deeper as you go through the class and through the different grade levels. For these training sessions, you'll be asked to take careful notes over the videos, and we'll look at examples of notes so that you can kind of pattern them off that. You're going to turn your page into the teacher will check it for credit, and that's all you have to do for those. Monster hunts are the next activity, and you saw on that page there were these little wanted signs with different monsters on them. Each of those wanted signs you click will take you to a different sort of mini quiz or mastery check that we'd like you to do. These quizzes typically have around 30 questions on them, which may sound like a lot, but they're really quick to go through, and the questions are usually pretty quick too. Most of these questions come from stuff like the training session videos that you'll watch in those activities, so it may help to start with them. They can also come from other things like general academic team questions or topics we want you to know and other info we'd like for you to learn. The big thing with these is that they are way less stressful than your typical test type thing. You need to show mastery, and in order to do that, you're going to need to try to score a 90% or higher on these little quizzes in order to pass. If you don't score 90%, it's okay. You can try again basically as many times as you need. Don't rush through your attempts. Teachers can kind of see the time you spend on these, and they may ask you to do an alternate assignment if you don't pass after more than 5 tries. Once you pass one of these checks, you're going to turn in a guidebook page from the notebook that we'll give you, and that'll help signify to your teacher that you're done and that they need to check this. One thing to keep in mind too is you may not use notes on these little checks, these monster hunts. If you don't pass, you can go back and review questions you missed at the end. It'll give you a list that you can see. You can take notes of your own on them to study, do that, put your notes away, and then try again. Quests are longer-term projects that you'll be completing in the class each quarter. In these, you're going to create or build something. You'll learn and create some kind of product that you can showcase. You can sometimes work with other students on these. You can kind of pool your knowledge a little bit, and frequently we'll give you times where you can show these off if you want to, or display them online or in other places. Some of these are kind of neat because you can actually submit them to our school STLP with Miss Gabry to potentially qualify to be showcased in the state STLP competition. If you're interested in that aspect, you'll see a little STLP icon on the page, and there'll be a specific section you can go to follow along with the guidelines. With these, you'll typically email them to a teacher if you do it digitally, or just give them your physical product if you create something by hand, and you'll be good to go. Now, those are the activities you'll typically do on your own. Sparring sessions we do as a group. You'll complete 6 of these each quarter. We typically do them once a week. We've done them Wednesdays in the past and may continue that this quarter. Think of these as like games or tournaments. If you've played on websites like Blookit, Gimkit, or Quizzes before, we typically use these to do our tournaments. We'll pick a topic. You can see highlighted here is Kentucky Facts. So social studies students are going to have a bit of an advantage on it, but we try to pull stuff from every subject area so that everybody has a little bit of an advantage on at least one of the competitions. Everybody who participates in this gets credit. As long as you try, which we make sure all students do, you're going to get checked off that day and you'll get credit for completing it. The winners usually get some type of small prize that we'll talk about a little bit later. These are typically a good time and a little bit of a break from some of the more strenuous work that you might do during your time in the academy. To prepare for this tournament every week, you can visit the arena section on the map. If I go back to the page and go to the main world map, I can take you to the arena section, which you'll find here on the right. You can click it, and you'll see these little training dummies here with different topics. You can see how they're kind of varied between subject areas. If you click that, it'll automatically take you to a link to that Blookit or Gimkit or whatever we might use. The end result might be a little bit different, but you're going to find questions from these usually within. Those will rotate fairly frequently, so you can come back to this page. I'd encourage you typically to come to this page if you get far ahead in your typical academy work. Or if you're in another class and you get finished early, this is a good place to come back with if the teacher's fine with it. This is also a good place to go to if you want to spend a few minutes at home studying as well, and it might give you a leg up in the competitions to come. Now, briefly, we'll talk about exploring the academy page. You never know what you'll find, and I plan on changing stuff up pretty frequently. As you go through this world map, you're going to find various areas and places that sort of unlock over time, or places that you can click and go to different things. You may find ways to unlock secret challenges or just run into characters who have something to say about the world and add a little bit of flavor. Many events will unlock over time and require some of the skills you unlock and learn to progress. Students who were in the class last year are familiar with item cards and rewards, although we've switched these up a little bit. Students can earn small prizes like candy and stickers in our weekly tournaments. They can also earn items or item cards that they can use. Some will give bonuses or allow you to help pick activities in class, such as what book mode we play for one of our tournaments that week. Some will help you on our adventures, which is a separate topic I'll talk about in a second. Students can find common, rare, or epic item cards with varying degrees of rarity depending on what they are, some of them being very hard to find. You can see a couple examples here. If you were a student in the class last year, we switched these up pretty dramatically, so you're going to find almost all of them are different in some way. Adventures are the last thing I wanted to mention. In these, you're going to take things you've learned in class to join a party of 5 students to conquer challenges. Bard, Beastmaster, Magician, Knight, and Ranger students will team up to form a party to try to complete the ultimate academic challenge, where answering questions correctly is the only way to defeat or avoid dangerous creatures and find treasure and glory. I did a little bit of testing on this last year with one group of students, but I've kind of refined that a little bit. You'll see a little bit of a preview as to things that will be relevant to this, and we probably won't start until at least a little bit into the school year, but each of your character sheets will have a little bit of information on it that will be relevant when we get into these. And that's some quick info about the Academy. Refer back to this guide, but don't worry, as we'll be walking through each of these different things we'll be doing individually. Thanks for being a part of this class.